Hi, this is John Olegas with the fifth session of what happens to you when you have to deal with those people in the Marin County District Attorney's Office. What we're looking at here is a report by Richard Ronica, MD. He's a psychiatrist who I went to see and had him assess the evidence that I had about the children's, that is my daughter's, trip to New Orleans in July of 2003. There were allegations made that I emotionally traumatized the children when I took them to Louisiana from California. That was mentioned over in New Zealand. It was also alleged by Peggy Bennington, an attorney for my ex-wife, Charlotte Jensen, that I emotionally abused the children by taking them to New Zealand. So I asked Dick Ronica to look at all the documents and express his view as to whether the children were emotionally distraught or disturbed. And his conclusion was just the opposite. He said that they were happy and they were not damaged, they were not emotionally abused. And he has written this report after examining me and all the documents and a video or two that I had. And so he is a highly experienced psychiatrist and a doctor, well respected here in Louisiana. And he made his report. I'm just presenting it here because it may be the case that viewers of these tapes would say, gee, he must have really abused those children to have the government treat him the way they did. But this is the proof that none of that happened. And it proves, and it's his opinion, that is Dr. Ronica, that I should see the children. But they ignore this because here is a quote that Dr. Ronica quoted in his report. He says, in a legal document from the county of Marin in California, apparently submitted by Charlotte Jensen's attorney, Peggy Bennington, it states, these children, in fact, were traumatized by their experience being driven halfway across the U.S., not being able to call their mother for 3 days, being emotionally abused by their father, and desperately need to return home to their school, their friends, and their life. In a deposition of Sergeant Mitchell from November of 2003, Sergeant Mitchell was asked regarding the children, what were their appearances at that time? The answer, they appeared healthy. The question was then, were they traumatized? The answer was no. The next question was, or emotionally distraught? The answer was no. The sergeant said, no, they were not traumatized. So he also is citing other documents, some of which I've pointed out. And he refers to this Jude Hay report in New Zealand, 13. Says he's citing her language, and he's discussing the matter. And says, I have seen no evidence that the children were traumatized by a trip in 2003 going from California to Louisiana. Indeed, in the material that I have reviewed, just the opposite was evident. That is, the children were quite happy, playful, and cheerful on their trip. I find no psychiatric contradiction to Mr. Olegas being able to speak to his children, visit with them, and essentially share in the task of raising them. Furthermore, in my view of the circumstances, the best interest of Mr. Olegas' daughter requires that they have regular contact with the father. Mr. Olegas has attempted to arrange phone consultation between this writer, that is, Dr. Roniger, and the children, and the ex-wife and the attorney for the children, and that request has been denied. I'm a board-certified psychiatrist with over 30 years of experience in psychiatry. Now, that's a pretty good authority. Now, I'm just putting this up and letting you know what his credentials are. And I think he knows a little bit about traumatized children than Jude Hay or Peggy Bennington. So with that in mind, I will close this one. And thank you for listening.